Whenever people talk about the modern health crisis, someone inevitably brings up cancer as the ultimate symbol of industrial corruption. We blame microplastics in our drinking water, ultra processed food on supermarket shelves, pesticide sprays, synthetic chemicals, and polluted city air. Underneath all of this modern anxiety lies a very specific and romantic cultural fantasy. The belief that before factories and chemical plants existed, back when humans roamed misty savannas eating wild roots and fresh game, the human body existed in pristine biological harmony, and cancer simply did not exist. This idea is not just internet wellness folklore. It made massive global headlines in 2010 when researchers from the University of Manchester published a high-profile study analyzing hundreds of Egyptian mummies and ancient medical papyri. The authors argued that evidence of cancer was virtually absent from the ancient archaeological record, concluding that neoplastic disease was almost entirely a man-made byproduct of modern industrial lifestyles, processed diets, and chemical pollution. The takeaway for the general public seemed obvious. Strip away the artificial modern world, and you strip away the disease. But this neat little story completely collapses the moment you examine ancient bones under a modern scanner. In 2016, an international research team led by Edward Oates and Patrick Randolph Quinney from the University of the Witwatersrand placed a small fossilized hominin foot bone into a high-resolution micro-CT scanner. The bone, cataloged as SK7923 and unearthed from the Swartkrans cave in South Africa, was dated to approximately 1.7 million years ago. It belonged to an early human ancestor who lived long before anyone invented cigarettes, synthetic plastics, refined corn syrup, or industrial smokestacks. Inside that 1.7 million-year-old metatarsal, the three-dimensional scans revealed a chaotic, blooming eruption of abnormal bone tissue with a classic cauliflower-like structure. It was an unambiguous textbook osteosarcoma, an aggressive primary malignant bone cancer. In a companion study published in the exact same journal, researchers analyzed the fossilized spine of a juvenile Australopithecus sediba named Caribou, dated to 1.98 million years ago from the Malapa fossil site, and identified an osteoid osteoma benign tumor. That single fossilized foot bone from South Africa destroyed the modern myth in one scan. Our prehistoric ancestors were battling aggressive, malignant tumors millions of years before humans had even figured out how to fashion a proper stone spear. This discovery forced evolutionary biologists to confront a deeply uncomfortable paradox. Natural selection is supposed to be nature's ultimate quality control engineer, ruthlessly pruning genetic weaknesses and fatal structural flaws across millions of generations. If cancer is a catastrophic cellular malfunction that kills the host, why on earth did evolution never patch out this fatal bug? Why did our hominin ancestors carry the exact same lethal cellular self-destruct mechanism that we struggle with today? The answer begins when we dismantle the myth of the pristine prehistoric environment. If you imagine that ancient hunter-gatherers spent their lives breathing crisp, unpolluted mountain air, you are forgetting the single most important technology that kept humans alive during the Ice Age. For hundreds of thousands of years, ancient families spent freezing nights crowded inside unventilated rock shelters and caves, huddled directly around roaring campfires. That meant inhaling dense clouds of wood smoke loaded with soot, fine carbon particles, and polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons for 8 to 10 hours every single night. An environmental carcinogen exposure profile that researchers note is uncomfortably similar to chain smoking inside a sealed concrete garage. Add in intense solar ultraviolet radiation on the open savanna, radioactive radon gas naturally seeping through cave floors, and chronic parasitic infections like blood flukes that directly trigger cellular damage, and prehistoric reality starts looking considerably less detoxified than advertised. But the deeper reason ancient humans developed cancer goes far beyond campfire smoke. It is baked directly into the mathematical bargain of being a complex animal. Around 600 million years ago, single-celled organisms made a monumental evolutionary transition to form multicellular life. In exchange for forming intricate bodies with eyes, muscles, digestive tracts, and brains, individual cells had to surrender their ancestral right to divide uncontrollably and agree to follow strict regulatory laws for the good of the organism. Your body and the body of a 1.7 million-year-old hominin is an uneasy republic of roughly 37 trillion individual cells performing billions of cellular divisions every single day. Every time a cell divides to repair a torn muscle, replace a worn intestinal lining, or heal a scraped knee, delicate molecular machinery must copy a 3 billion letter genetic code with near perfect accuracy. When you perform billions of molecular copies daily across decades, statistical copying errors are an absolute mathematical certainty. Most mutations are harmless, and our bodies deploy sophisticated tumor suppressor genes like PP53 to spot damaged cells and force them to self-destruct. But cancer is not a foreign invader created by 20th century chemical factories. It is an internal mutiny. It occurs when a normal cell suffers enough specific genetic strikes to disable its safety brakes, reverting back to its primitive, selfish, single-celled programming to multiply without restraint. Evolution never built a completely cancer-proof body because doing so comes with a devastating biological trade-off known as antagonistic pleiotropy. The exact genetic pathways that drive rapid cellular proliferation, aggressive tissue regeneration, and robust blood vessel growth to heal a gouge from a saber-toothed cat are the very same mechanisms that rogue tumor cells exploit to spread. If natural selection had tuned our cellular division to be hyper-conservative and virtually unmutable, an ancient hunter who suffered a minor scrape or broken bone would have died of tissue necrosis and routine infection long before reaching reproductive age. Evolution simply optimized for rapid healing and successful reproduction during our teens, 20s, and 30s, accepting that the biological warranty on cellular control would inevitably degrade later in life. When painful, debilitating tumors did strike our prehistoric ancestors, the fossil record reveals something extraordinary about Pleistocene social life. In 2013, an international research team led by Dr. Janet Monge from the University of Pennsylvania and Dr. David Freyer from the University of Kansas examined a Neanderthal rib fragment from the Krapina rock shelter in Croatia, dated to over 120,000 years ago. Micro-CT imaging revealed a clear fibrous dysplasia bone tumor that had hollowed out the interior of the rib. In a harsh, nomadic Ice Age landscape where survival required trekking dozens of miles across rugged terrain, an individual crippled by severe bone pain could not hunt, forage, or carry equipment. Yet skeletal evidence shows that individuals with debilitating pathologies frequently lived for months or years after their mobility was compromised. This provides profound physical proof that prehistoric bands practiced cooperative caregiving, sharing food, carrying injured members, and nursing sick companions who could no longer contribute to the hunt. At this point, a reasonable skeptic might ask, if ancient humans and archaic hominins were genuinely developing cancer, why have paleopathologists found so few cancerous skeletons across millions of excavated remains? If the disease was always part of human biology, shouldn't our museum vaults be overflowing with tumor-riddled fossils? This apparent mystery was solved in 2021 by a landmark study conducted by Dr. Piers Mitchell and Dr. Jenna Dittmar from the University of Cambridge as part of the After the Plague project. For over a century, historical studies had claimed that less than 1% of pre-industrial populations suffered from cancer. But the Cambridge team recognized a massive flaw in historical methodology. Past archaeologists were evaluating ancient skeletons by looking only at the external surface of dry bones with the naked eye. The Cambridge researchers took 143 medieval skeletons and analyzed them using high-resolution X-rays and computed tomography. The scans revealed hidden metastatic lesions burrowed deep inside the pelvic bones, vertebrae, and skulls of individuals whose bones looked completely pristine and healthy from the outside. Furthermore, because primary cancers originating in soft tissues like the lungs, stomach, intestines, or breasts only spread to the skeletal system in roughly one-third to one-half of terminal cases, and ancient soft tissues completely rot away in the earth. Naked-eye bone inspections had created a massive optical illusion. When the Cambridge team applied modern radiological metastasis ratios to their skeletal data, they discovered that between 9 and 14% of medieval adults had cancer at the time of death. A prevalence rate roughly 10 times higher than historical consensus had asserted for generations. When human populations transitioned from nomadic foraging to agriculture during the Neolithic Revolution 10,000 years ago, the landscape of neoplastic disease shifted yet again. Dense village settlements brought prolonged exposure to smoldering hearth smoke in enclosed mud brick homes, contaminated water sources, and stored grains that harbored toxic molds producing carcinogenic aflatoxins. In ancient Egypt and Rome, chronic parasitic infections like schistosomiasis plagued workers along irrigation canals, leaving behind documented cases of bladder and colorectal carcinomas that ancient physicians recorded in medical papyri like the Ebers Papyrus. So, why does cancer feel so overwhelmingly like an epidemic of modern society? The answer lies in the single most misunderstood statistic in human history: the life expectancy trap. When historical records state that ancient humans had an average life expectancy of 30 or 35 years, people mistakenly imagine that everyone dropped dead of old age in their early 30s. In reality, that statistical average was violently pulled down by staggering infant and child mortality rates, lethal bacterial infections, dangerous maternal childbirth complications, and fatal hunting injuries. If an ancient hunter-gatherer survived the treacherous gauntlet of early childhood, they routinely lived into their 50s, 60s, and 70s, as observed in modern hunter-gatherer populations like the Hadza and San. But the critical difference was that the vast majority of ancient humans were taken out by acute, violent, or infectious killers long before their cells had time to accumulate the multiple genetic mutations required for late-stage tumors to develop. In the modern world, vaccines, clean, sanitized water, antibiotics, and advanced trauma medicine eliminated the acute killers that once decimated our youth. By raising the floor of human survival, modern civilization enabled billions of people to live long enough to reach the biological threshold, where our 37 trillion dividing cells finally encounter their natural limits. Modern industrial pollutants and tobacco certainly introduced dangerous new carcinogens, but modern society did not create the underlying disease. It simply cleared away all the faster ways to die, allowing us to survive long enough to meet the ancient cellular clock that has ticked inside multicellular life for millions of years. Realizing that an early human ancestor limped across a South African savanna with a malignant bone tumor nearly 2 million years ago completely reframes our understanding of the human condition. Cancer is not a modern moral punishment for leaving nature behind. It is the ancient, unavoidable biological price tag of being a complex multicellular creature built from trillions of cooperating cells capable of growth and healing. Our ancestors carried this exact vulnerability through the smoke of Pleistocene campfires, surviving through community care and shared resilience. The profound difference today is not that our bodies are broken, but that for the first time in evolutionary history, we possess the scientific knowledge and medical tools to see the mutiny inside our cells and fight back.